Hi everyone, Surend Dayal here, and I'm joined by my friend Peter Still from Oracle, the CEO of Magia Solutions, and we're just going to spend a bit of time talking to you about public sector case management today. Thanks for joining me, Peter.
Thanks, Surend. Happy to be here.
So Peter and I are just going to walk you through the Oracle offering for public sector case management and talk about a few case studies around the world where the software has been used by governments large and small to help in their fight against COVID and other things. A little bit about Magia to begin with. We're an Australian company, and we've been Oracle Cloud Specialists since 2012, an Oracle Platinum Partner since 2017. The key thing here in Australia is we've got staff in all the major Australian cities and customers right around the country. We can deliver any Oracle SaaS application, whether it's ERP, CRM or marketing. Today we're going to be focusing on CRM, in particular case management, which is a core part of the CX pillar for Oracle. We offer a range of professional services, from implementation services through to ongoing support and managed service around any Oracle technology. But enough about us. Let me hand over to Peter now to tell you a bit about Oracle's public sector case management solution.
Well, thanks, Surend, for the introduction. My name is Peter Still. I work in Oracle's development organisation, where I'm responsible for our public sector solution strategy. And I just want to take a few minutes here to talk about how Oracle is working in the case management space and how we're excited to be doing that work in partnership with implementation partners like Magia. So at the very start of our journey, Oracle has taken a look at what it takes to deliver a sophisticated case management solution, even for the most complex circumstances. And at the start of that, Oracle has a very strong heritage as a data company. And so in re-envisioning case management, we've said the first thing we need to do is offer a platform that's great, not just at storing data, but at managing it and unifying data across multiple sources. Now, once we have that, we can then work smart and say, let's not just have data, let's move beyond data to intelligence so that we can infer what obligations might arise, what services might apply to which people, how we can act in complex circumstances based on working smart across all of that data and inferring everything we can from it. And then, of course, the last piece is to deliver a connected experience. And traditionally in government, case management solutions have focused on the very important caseworker persona. Now we're saying, even beyond that, let's focus as well on delivering the best possible experience for the citizens and constituents who need to interact with government. And this means we can offer case management that works from the discover phase of the experience economy, where people first find out about government services, all the way through engagement, where they apply or lodge a report, and then a series of case management steps beyond that. Now, what we see in the cloud market is a number of competitors that view case management as lodging a report, making an application, and then moving through a series of steps. What we're doing with our product and with partners such as Magia is to say that we recognize the real complexity of many people's lives, whether it's in terms of families receiving benefits or investigations that have to occur. And there are a couple of parts to this. One key element is that we recognize that relationships and families and circumstances in the real world are not just very complicated, but they change over time. So one key aspect of our solution is that we have a very sophisticated relationship model, which allows us to track many people across multiple families, all the relationships that they have that can change over time. And rather than just investigating an application or a report, we can have any number of reports and incidents and use cases as ways to group them together. So we believe that that gives us a very powerful solution, more so than our competitors, for very complex circumstances. And case management is important as an end in itself, but also exists in a much broader context. So we've worked very hard to deliver a true end-to-end experience from government, whether that's delivering benefits, particularly in an emergency environment like we see now, or whether that's for complex compliance investigations, or even some combination of the two. And so you can see here a range of different functions that we believe are important to the solution that we offer, from discovery, where you first find out about a service as a citizen or an obligation, through the engagement, where you start to apply and find out how those programs apply to you, through the more further complex case management stages. And all of our work is informed by the lessons we learn from key customers around the world. And we also work with a number of key organisations to help them adopt the best practices that we develop in our product. So I'm going to talk about a couple of these now, and then hand over to Surend so he can talk specifically about Magia's experience. The first organisation I want to talk about is a large US state, and it's a great example of how Oracle customers have been incredibly creative solving difficult problems in the rapidly changing pandemic environment that we've seen in 2020. So this is a US state that all of a sudden found itself facing a huge volume of not just medical cases that need to be handled, but questions from concerned residents who wanted to know how the coronavirus in 2020 affected them, what they needed to do, what their risks were, what steps they would have to take. So they're a great example of how case management exists in a context that's much broader. And here they're able, in the course of less than a week, to stand up a brand new contact centre, train a large number of government employees who'd been sent home from work, have them work from home, often without contact centre experience, but deliver a vital front end, handling thousands of calls per day from concerned residents of that state. Now, even beyond that, that front end, we can work with very sophisticated organisations that are going through an ongoing phased transformation effort. So CNAF in France, the French Social Services Agency, is a wonderful example of this. Over the course of the past few years, Oracle has worked very closely with them, particularly with the Oracle Intelligent Advisor product, and helped them with a transition away from mainframe-driven business that was based very heavily on in-person interactions. In the course of a very fast initial implementation, we were able to deliver digital online services and advice, but also a very high volume of online transactions to calculate payments for French citizens, working with that mainframe as the first stage of their ongoing transformation. You can see here some of the incredible transaction volumes that we're able to handle. And part of why this is important is that in a changing world, by offering cloud CX solutions for both advice and the calculations, we can deliver much more agility so that CNAF can adapt in the face of the change that we all see around us today. Now, sometimes case management is about ensuring that people get services that they need in the moments that matter. Sometimes it's about investigations and compliance. And Kenya Revenue Authority is another interesting CX customer that proves that people will do the right thing and follow their obligations as long as we make it easy for them. So by deploying a CX service solution, and again, Oracle Intelligent Advisor, by helping people to understand how rules applied in their situations and to rapidly get the answers they need, we were able to help people who wanted to comply to do so much more easily, greatly increasing not only compliance rates, but also customer satisfaction with the tax agency in Kenya. And finally, I want to talk about another COVID-19 example, a major Californian city that was faced with a huge number of cases of the coronavirus, and also a large impact on the most needy people who lived in that city, people who were at below the federal poverty line, who'd lost 50% or more of their income as a result of the virus. And Oracle was able to partner with this city and helped them deliver in the space of just a couple of weeks a solution that was able to guide citizens through eligibility verification, appointment making, case management, and all of the steps that were required through to approving a payment. And by implementing that solution in just a couple of weeks, we were able to then go on to distribute funds to over 100,000 individuals to the tune of over $36 million. So one of the big themes of case management is that it's not just about TCO, it's not just about money or investment in data centers. Using these cloud CX case management solutions, we can materially impact the outcomes that governments can achieve and that citizens experience. And so now I'll hand over to Surend, who can talk about some of Magia's experience in delivering these outcomes for their own customers.
Thanks very much, Peter. And yes, it's certainly impressive to see how much Oracle's capability can help governments and citizens. And while it's nice to be able to improve the service delivered for a bank or an insurer, it's really telling when you can help improve citizens' lives. So I'm just going to take you through a few local examples of where Magia has implemented Oracle's public sector case management solution in Australia. And I'm going to focus on different parts of the solution here. We do work with a lot of government agencies across federal, state and local government. But for the purpose of this, I'm going to focus on some different parts of the customer experience. So the first one I'll look at here is Ipswich City Council, a council in Brisbane, where we have implemented Oracle Cloud CX with web self-service, Oracle Intelligent Advisor, formerly known as Oracle Policy Automation, and a set of middleware to integrate that back to the host systems. And that's been fantastic for the council, where they've had a massive reduction in request processing time, so much better citizen service, a massive increase in capacity, so they can handle more than 6,500 requests a month with no additional staff. And they went from 0 to 10,000 digital transactions per month. A very good outcome for the citizens of Ipswich. The second one I'm going to talk about today is the Guam Power Authority. And here the issue was a very limited online presence. So you might remember when Peter was showing you the product stack, one of the areas is, and quite a new one, is chatbots and digital assistants to assist with customer interaction. So for Guam, that's what we did. We put in a digital assistant that is right on their Facebook page. So if you just look in Facebook for the Guam Power Authority, you can see it and you can interact with the chatbot. And for customers, this gives them 24/7 service. And the Guam Water Authority is now going to roll that out for a different part of Guam's service delivery. And finally, Water Corporation in Australia. Here we're looking at a part of the Oracle Public Sector Case Management that a lot of people often don't know about, which is actually Oracle's Field Service Cloud. This was a best-in-class product that Oracle acquired a few years ago, and it's used by anyone really who has people needing to be out in the field, and it handles automated scheduling, routing, making sure they have everything they need. And in a citizen scenario, that means everything they need to help deal with a case. And that's a very powerful capability that is quite unique to Oracle in this space. So to finish up, my call to action to everyone in public sector is to get started. These technologies are here, they're available. As Peter's pointed out, we can stand them up in a week to get digital interactions going for a government organisation. So in the milieu of Oracle partners here in Australia, this is the reason why customers tend to choose us. Two things I'm going to highlight here really. The first one is obviously we're local Australian owned. We can deliver in any Australian state. The second thing is we're very nimble, and we have the might of Oracle behind us, massive world-class company producing world-class innovation, and it's really our job to make it easy to consume that innovation locally. So thank you very much for joining us. please come and visit us at www.magia-solutions.com. And thank you very much, Peter, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Surend. Great to have the conversation.
Cheers.